What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction as well as a vocal Luca. And we're returning to Roxy Music's 1975 album Siren. Thank you again to Seb for providing the Roxy material. And the next track is Sentimental Fool, which is, of course, at once a critique and a sympathetic view, which is to say, calling someone sentimental is to say that they are keen to see things in an idealized or positive way, or a way that speaks to a rich emotional worldview. But to say that they're a sentimental fool is to say that that disposition has led them to be naive or to behave in a way that is reckless or prone to be exploited or taken advantage of by others, and thus someone who is, in a practical sense, being overly emotional or sentimental. But again, I think built into it is a somewhat sympathetic view, because if you're calling someone sentimental, you're saying that they're inclined to see the best in things, even when that is not the case in practice. So I don't quite know what to make of it, because it's only that phrase, and Roxy's lyrics tend to at least have nuance, metaphor, or other expression that makes them more than the words on the page, if that makes sense. So let's give it a listen and see what it is, or to the degree I can follow it on a first listen. This is Roxy Music. The track is Sentimental Fool, and it's from their 1975 album Siren.
knowing the fate is cruel, you ought to forget it. Yes, I know it's true. I've seen what love can do, but I don't regret it. Oh, you silly thing, can't you see what's happening? You're better without it. No, that's not the case. If you were in my place, then you wouldn't doubt it. Sentimental fool, who broke the golden rule. You couldn't resist it. Though it's all in vain, I do it all again, just to relive 1 minute. So show me what living's for. The rhythm of love, it must go on. Can't stop. The beat of your heart is like a drum. Will it stop?
That it? That is it. Wow. That's great. Like, okay, so first, admittedly, the first minute and a half is like, wow, this is really like wickedly atmospheric and almost atonal. Like, it had a really intense atonality to it, and it was like this weirdly psychedelic, non-musical introduction. And then it sort of begun as like a proper song, and it actually felt more consonant and a bit smooth and so on. And I don't really know what's happening lyrically. I didn't catch a whole lot of them, but it does seem like the Sentimental Fool is the other person, the person being addressed. Am I right there, at least? But then it kind of went a little wicked again, and once it did that, it went to this really cool place sonically, and then, you know, it sort of rolled over again, and I got even more into it, and then I think it was a saxophone, certainly brass of some kind, but I think it was a sax, and that was like in a really good place sonically, and then it was getting a bit cheeky and creative with those stops and starts again, and then like right by the end, it's like talking about the other person's heartbeat being like a drum, and is it going to stop? And it stops, and then it rolls back in. So yeah, like a really interesting tune, and one that I got more and more into as it went along. And as I said, like that point where it went from being a bit smooth and consonant back into being a bit wicked, though still with more tonality than that opening section. That was like my favorite part, and obviously people who know the channel know that I'm very fond of brass, in particular a saxophone, which I think that was. So yeah, a really cool one, even if lyrically I'm just on the edges of it and I don't quite know what's happening, which again, fair to say that fits with the long arc experience I've had with music, where I listen to a tune, I just kind of let it wash over me, I listen to it a few more times, more and more of the lines begin to sink in, and I start to get a clearer picture of what's happening. So these days, of course, when I do these reactions, people often talk in the comments, and even if there's still some ambiguity or debate about what's being said or what the themes are, I sort of get brought up to speed more quickly than I would have historically. So it's all part of the process, even if that process has evolved in this modern era of me making videos. Thank you again to Seb, as well as to all the people who've been following the Roxy journey. Let me know what you think of this one, and I'll see you for the next one. Peace.